Good morning. Hopefully you have your coffee. I have chocolate one that we purchased that is absolutely fantastic. So I feel like I am having a super cheap Starbucks morning. It costs me barely anything, which always works. So today for lattes and mortgages, let's talk about that we're not in 2008. Recessions are good for mortgages. FHA is finally winning. Mortgage applications are up and buyers are looking. So it's a lot to digest. And we're just going to skinny through it because, like always, I like to try to keep these weekly updates just a little bit shorter for you. So let me know if you ever need these slides. I've got them all from KCM. So let's just dive straight in. So to start with, what the heck is happening in this market? It's a hard one. I mean, we go up and down with mortgage world. We're used to it. Mortgage rates are always fluctuating with the markets, and we've discussed this various times, but mortgage interest rates are really based off of what's happening on mortgage-backed security coupons on the stock exchange. So when stocks are in a downward trend and companies are losing a lot of money, they will quickly sell shares and buy mortgage-backed security coupons so that they can safeguard a portion of people's investment monies. So when mortgage-backed security coupons are in high demand, it creates the value for a lender to be a lot cheaper for us. So therefore, we can pass that savings on to our customers and get lower interest rates on mortgages. When we don't have a lot of investors' appetite to buy and fight for mortgage-backed securities because maybe Amazon or one of those other investment companies are doing really great, they're going to leave their money in the stocks in a higher jeopardy account so that way they get a better return of investment. That in part turns out that we just don't have anybody's appetite that day for a rate. And so mortgage interest rates go up for the customer. So it's just a pull on the markets. And that's truly why recessions are so good for mortgages. So here's what our buyers are dealing with right now. And this is why we saw a pause for a little bit with buyers. Is if you look at 2001 to today, there's about on average a $400 a month difference on a monthly mortgage payment. That is a lot for a customer to handle. $400 is a car payment. And honestly, a lot of people went and bought cars during the stimulus market. That's why car prices jacked up so much. And the funny thing is, cars right now are in a huge, oh boy, I'm missing the word there, but they're getting taken away from people because they're not paying their car payments. They were used to getting the stimulus money that was not real income, but car dealers approved them on this money that's not really theirs and on those early payouts on the child tax credit. So people are in general were getting about $1,200 a month that they don't have as income, and they were buying vehicles. So now we have a huge repo, there's my word, a huge repo on vehicles, and that is actually going to bring down the price of vehicles. But because the Fed fund rate, the cost to borrow from the feds and the banks, that's increased. That's going to mean that more that rates for vehicles are going to increase. So see how that kind of works. You can have fluctuations where vehicles are cheaper, but it might cost you a little bit more because the risk is there. Or you might have houses cost a little bit more monthly, but you don't have as much competition. Therefore, you don't have to overbid on that house. And that's what we really need to be out there educating to customers is we get it. Interest rates are higher and it's a hard pill to swallow when an average house is 450,000 and the interest rate is over 5%. That's a hard payment to make. But in investment standpoint, it's a great return of investment for that person to get into that house now and then look into an opportunity to refinance later. So that's why we saw a pause on consumers. Now, with the last Fed fund rate meeting that we had in July, the Feds raised the rate again for businesses, which you already know, but it didn't help as much. So inflation cooled down a little bit because people have already been pulling back on what they were spending because the cost of food and gas and everything was so expensive. So they started pulling back right away on spending money in the economy. And then crazy enough, unemployment actually got much better than it was even before we entered COVID. Typically, for a strong recession, what we need to see is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, and we need to see unemployment be negative, because as businesses are losing money because people are not spending money in the economy, they can't afford employees, they have to lay them off. But we're not seeing that yet. So I was anticipating seeing this market recession towards September, because that'll be the next Fed fund rate meeting. I don't know. It might be later in the fall, and then we won't see that recourse our mortgage interest rates for a little bit more. So this is just talking about the percentage of economists that are right on the ball with me, where we're going to see the signs of a recession. And then, of course, instantly in somebody's mindset, recession is really bad for housing. And if we look at all the past 6 major recessions that we had, home prices actually increased. And it's simply, again, supply and demand. As home prices, or as recessions happened in those markets, interest rates dropped. That created a demand from consumers to purchase. And then there's not as much inventory. So, of course, home prices go up. The only one that we saw a significant change was 2008. And as we all know, this is just heavily factored on 2 major issues that happened. And both of them were created by us, not by the economy. So the first biggest factor was that we were building so many houses. Back then, we had probably 3 homes for every one person buying a house. So people could afford 2 homes because the banks were qualifying them. They didn't need to have reserves. They didn't need to income qualify on adjustable rate mortgages. They didn't need to double check that data people were submitting was accurate, just like car loans. If you've ever gone and gotten a car loan, you don't actually have to supply any proof of your income. You could say you make $1 million a year and you'll be approved. So kind of how lending standards were back then. So we fixed that lending standard. And then, as you already know, we have a horrible issue with inventory. So now we don't have builders building as much. We have about 1 house per 3 people looking in the entire US. So that's going to keep the pressure on inventory, and that's going to keep the pressure on home prices going up. A recession always points to falling mortgage interest rates, because again, businesses are losing money. Those investors are going to sell off those stocks that are in jeopardy of losing a lot of money. They'll quickly buy those mortgage-backed coupons on the stock reserves, and then safeguard the person's money for a while. When we have that heavy appetite on rates, they come down again. And that's what happened during COVID. We hit the history record on interest rates. We've never, ever in history been in 2% arena for mortgages. We were there because of negativity on businesses. People were being laid off. Money was getting moved to mortgage-backed securities. And then the government wanted to step in and buy $1 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities every month. So the appetite for investment was huge. Will we see those again? I don't think so. We're going to see interest rates drop. Right now, if we say the average is about 5.5%, I would say that we'll probably be lucky to get into the higher threes, mid threes, when that next recession drop happens. But even just moving 2 interest rates or 2 points, it's going to make a significant difference on somebody's monthly payment, and that's going to drive that demand. This is again looking at mortgage rates and recessions throughout the entire decade. So each one of these yellow were the major recessions that we had, and you can see that interest rates dropped significantly. One of the biggest ones that we saw was up here, where interest rates were in the 18% and they dropped down to 13% arena. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger so that you guys can see that there. And that was in the 80s. Then in the 90s, we dropped from 11% to 8.5. In the early 2000s, we dropped. During 2008, we dropped a decent amount. And then, of course, during COVID, even though it didn't feel like that was a huge drop, that's still a big percentage of a drop. So if you look at the average, about 1.8% is what came down during a recession on the mortgage interest rates. So, why the housing market won't crash? This is one of those big things that, again, we really need to help educate our customers. We need to let them know that on average, they're not going to stay in the mortgage they start with. Even clients that enter a lower interest rate, a lot of times I see them convert to a higher interest rate to do a cash out refinance later to be able to invest in another house or be able to roll all of their debts into one mortgage payment or to be able to buy a bigger house, smaller home. It's just not realistic that most people stay in a 30-year mortgage. So they first need to get over that fear of this payment scares me. They need to be comfortable with that payment. We need to educate them, and I feel I do a great job as a lender educating them because what I do to make things different is I give them entire presentation that helps to explain what's happened in the market. It walks through what we're going to do for their payments. It walks through all their little handbooks so that way they can feel knowledgeable and comfortable and get to know our team and the process. And then on top of that, I walk them through their individual marketing pieces that help to explain what their monthly payment looks like. So if we get that education, that fear of what about a house payment, and we get that out of the way, and then we educate the customers with what's happening with inventory, we can really empower families to take initiative today to purchase a home because I am seeing for the first time in probably closer to 2.5 years, down payment assistance people are actually getting homes. And FHA buyers are coming back out and getting homes. VA buyers are winning on our bids. These are huge moving factors for those three different arenas because typically your FHA buyers are going to be either very young families or very older families and struggling financially to come up with their down payment. So for them to be able to purchase a home is a huge impact to their generations that they teach their families about home ownership. Down payment assistance, it's expensive. Um, their interest rates are well into the sixes. They're ranging right now in the Washington State housing between 6.375 and 7%, depending on the type of program that the customer takes. But their rates have always been about 1% higher than a standard rate. And again, it helps them get their foot in the door. And then right now with the market, oh, I gotta learn how to turn that off. And again, with the market, sellers are struggling to sell their house, so buyers are able to get their closing costs paid for. So it's a huge win. People just need to get over the fear of that interest rate sounds really high because when we look at their rent is really high. So back to inventory, here's where statistically from NAR, what we're looking at on housing, and we just don't have enough houses. This is all across the United States. Currently, we're about 3 months supply, which is why we've got that little wiggle room right now where buyers are getting the upper foot to be able to negotiate stronger. So we need to retouch our own negotiation techniques and relearn how to use those key powerful words to push our offers through. But this is good data to know because just a year ago, it was about 2.3 months of inventory. Back in the crash, we were at almost 11 months worth of inventory because there was just so much houses. New construction, it's just not going to pick up the momentum that we want it to for a couple of reasons. One, construction investors that build big areas, they are very smart. After '08, they saw how much damage that did to their profits. So they are going to strategically decide how many houses to release in phases. So that way they can keep control of the profit and losses. And also with the inventory issue, why honestly wouldn't they? I would do the same. If I was an investor and I had the opportunity to make more money, I would strategically place myself in a position to be able to hold the power for a longer period of time so I could benefit financially better. It's a business, it's how it is. It's also still a great season for people to get into those, especially people are looking to want to get into a bigger home. The hard part is when we qualify somebody today for new construction, we need to be really careful that we structure it so that they don't need 100% of the proceeds from the current sale of their house, or we need to ensure that we're structuring them at a higher interest rate. Because the biggest issue that just happened to new construction was that when these interest rates flipped, over 70% of buyers that were under contract fell out because they could no longer qualify. So new construction is going to be very negative towards any of the poor service lenders or any of the big online lenders. And new construction is probably going to really push back on needing to use their in-house lenders because they've built that relationship with that lender to really know that they know what they're doing, because that's a significant loss. So if your clients are thinking about new construction, again, it's a great opportunity right now because again, they have a little bit more power to negotiate. So it's just coming to helping clients see and understand that process and that strategy. So if we move on to lending centers, we already talked about that. Foreclosure activity is the biggest news headline right now. I think I read something where it said foreclosures were up 151% or 200%. The problem is that during COVID, there were zero foreclosures. Nobody could enter into foreclosure process. So there was zero. So if you get one house under foreclosure after having zero homes, that's a 100% increase. So again, we just need to help people understand that there isn't foreclosure properties. There's very, very, very little amount of foreclosures, if any, because why would somebody go through the foreclosure process when they could short sell in this market? It's a hot market. Why would they walk away from any ability to offset what they owe in the house? So we're not going to see foreclosures for quite a while, not until inventory changes and flips. We'll see a lot more vehicle repos. We'll see credit cards. We'll see people's personal debts being hurt and their credit scores being affected. But foreclosures are going to be something that take quite a while. And then this is just talking about loans exiting the forbearance program, because of course we have that. We have people, a lot of people in student loan forbearance. So realistically, we're going to be in a good moving bubble for a couple of years. So we're going to be in a bubble where our buyers have ability to actually win some offers, and we're going to have the ability to be able to negotiate better for buyers. We are going to see a stock market recession happen, which is going to be a positive effect on mortgage worlds and on housing. And that's going to lead us right back into another seller's market. So, as a strong real estate professional, what you really want to be working on right now is your negotiation skill and learning scripting and powerful words and going after the listings that expired, because a lot of real estate agents are struggling to help identify to a customer how to properly list their house, and customers' expectations are unrealistic. But if you can go into an expired and explain to them the market, show them these key data points I can absolutely send to you, help them understand why the market has shifted, you might pick up a couple more listings that you didn't have before. And then potentially with open house activity and reverse marketing, you could pick up a couple more buyers too. So it's a really good market actually for us to be in. I hated a market where the sellers had so much power that buyers were feeling defeated. And that's their mindset at the moment. They're defeated by interest rates, they're defeated by what just happened through housing, and they're hoping for a crash. And it's just not going to come because home prices are going to keep going up. So hopefully this helps you, take this information, put it out there, help to explain it more to your buyers sitting on the fence, your sellers sitting on the fence. This is even a great conversation that we can even have with your sellers. And I don't know if you knew that that's something that I can help you with, but we can do a group Zoom and talk with your sellers about the current market, what we're seeing, what we're anticipating, and actually help you with that listing. Even though I'm not helping on the buyer side, I'm not closing that transaction, I'm helping you with your transactions with your sellers and the conversations. So you guys just let me know what it is that you need. Next week, I'm going to come up with some great marketing tips and tools and what we're seeing that's really working out there and how to get stronger on that side so you can be able to take this data and put it out there to help explain how strong of an agent you are and why people should be picking you. So let me know if you guys need anything whatsoever. Otherwise, go enjoy your day. Hopefully, you see a lot of great properties this weekend that'll get the blood boiling in your buyers and get them excited to get out there and shop for a house. And just let me know if you're struggling with any listings. Remember that even if you're not struggling with a listing and we want to start presenting it strong on the forefront, I can help you with any of the marketing tools, the website, anything that you need for that property, we can take care of.